He's talked to politicians, business tycoons, even terrorists, as well as the ordinary. Coming to fame on Australian TV news and current affairs in the 1970s, Mike Willesee was in Papua New Guinea recently. Thank you, Mike Willesee, for talking to us. Willesee at 7, Willesee in Australia, Willesee in Papua New Guinea. What brings you here?
The Archbishop invited me to come and help with some fundraising for the new cathedral.
Archbishop Mount Hagen.
Yes. I've done a little bit of work with John O'Brien, who's the architect for the cathedral, so that's how it happened.
In your time with the ABC, you did the program This Day Tonight, and you were seen as an aggressive reporter. Do you remember that, as an aggressive person?
Yeah, that was a big breakthrough for journalists on television, because we had, television was quite new in Australia, and we started in 1956, I think, with virtually no current affairs, and this was about 1967, and suddenly here were these people really sometimes being aggressive, being cheeky, having a go, and I was invited to join them. When I left, I did This Day Tonight, then Four Corners, and then I went to Channel 9, and I learnt from those ABC programs, and I thought, I think I can do better for a commercial audience in a different way, and I got that chance.
You were viewed as unrelenting, a very tough interviewer. Are you still that person today?
I think I'm the same. I'm only tough when it's necessary, which is mostly not. It rarely happens that you need to be tough.
But of all the politicians, of all the people that we strive to interview, any advice on how to tackle politicians? You will have gone through it many times, I'm sure.
Well, they're all different.
Okay.
And you've got to think about how they're likely to respond to your questions, and if they have some weaknesses, do you want to focus on that? They're all different.
Okay. Weaknesses is an area I think you were able to see and capture and drill some politicians in your prime times. And give us a reflection on that.
Yeah, there's been quite a few times where, I mean, I didn't set out to destroy politicians, but sometimes if you ask the right questions, they did it for themselves. Like when Dr. John Hewson was head of the Liberal Party, and he was going into an election against Paul Keating, and he was 10% ahead with about 2 weeks to go.
He was not supposed to lose.
That was called the unlosable election.
That's right.
And I asked him one question, and he just started digging a hole, and he lost the election.
It was called the birthday interview.
The birthday cake, yeah.
Are you still friends with John Hewson today?
Oh, I don't really know him, and I wasn't an enemy. I wasn't out to get him, but I asked him a question that, you see, he was the architect of this new tax. And it's hard to introduce a new tax, but because he was a professor of economics, he was very proud that he could answer any question. So I asked him a question that was, a good politician would have just brushed it aside and said, that's one of the difficult areas we will work out. But instead, well, a birthday cake has got this category which has got no tax, and this category which has got a luxury tax, and then there's candles on, and he just kept going, and people are saying he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Many believe that that interview you did with John Hewson cost him his elections. Is that the case? Is that how you see it?
Well, he's very bright. He always made things interesting.
2012, you joined an Australian network special current affairs team that interviewed politicians, high-profile politicians. One of them, the first female Prime Minister of Australia, Julia Gillard. Do you feel sorry for her?
No, I mean, I only interviewed her once, and she wasn't there very long, and I didn't know her, so I tried to have a chat before the interview and say, look, I'm not out to get you, I'm not out to prove anything, but you know, your own people saying your problem is you're not communicating, so just relax, I'm not out to get you. But she didn't relax, and she was the same Julia Gillard, and she went downhill.
In all that toughness in Mike Willesee, there is a soft part that has been well documented. You helped a disabled boy called Quinton. Tell us about that.
Yes, I came across Quentin when he was quite small, and his father was determined to literally put some steel into his legs. It was very
Prosthesis?
no, literally internally. You know, just like if you have a broken leg, you put a steel plate. He wanted to put steel rods in, and it was a fascinating interview. But we got such a response that some years later, I thought, I'm going to go back and see how Quentin's doing, and do a documentary on him. Well, it was the highest rating documentary on commercial television ever. He was just very popular because he was gutsy. You know, at times he didn't want to. He was only a kid. He didn't want to answer my questions, so he just wouldn't. And I had to sort of trick him. I had to think, well, if it was my children, what would I do? You know, I'd make a game of it, and then I'd bribe him. So that's what I did.
The other side of that is that you interviewed 2 children who were held hostage, and you were criticized for that.
Yeah, that was very dangerous, and I've been criticised for that because I didn't let the police negotiators get on the phone. Well, firstly, by the time I got on the phone to him, the police negotiators had failed for several hours to get on the phone to him, and I didn't know if I hung up they were going to be there. So I had one ambition only, and to get this killer. But he hung on. I was still in my car when I was told we've got him on the phone. So I actually drove straight into the studio, and I thought, well, he must think something of me to want to be interviewed by me. And so I tried to take advantage of that, and I said, look, I'm going to ask you for a big favour, and I want the truth. I want you to let those 2 kids go. And he said, all right, for you I will. I said, no, don't tell me you will, now. Go let them go now. And he did. So their lives were saved, and their parents still thank me.
Nobody said life in the media is all glossy and headlines and toughness. There was a time when you appeared drunk and you were criticized.
Yeah, that was, that was 26 years ago.
Okay.
People still remember it.
Oh, yes. Right.
But I wasn't feeling well, and I went to the doctors, and he gave me a drug called Valium, and I didn't know what Valium was. He thought I needed calming down. I needed picking up. I was just flat. So I had a Valium before I went on air. It didn't work, so then I had a glass of scotch. That didn't work, so I had another Valium. Anyway, I had 2 Valiums, 2 glasses of scotch. By the time I went on air, hey, everything was beautiful. Life was beautiful.
You were smiling all the way.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand now. Mike, at 50, you changed to the Roman Catholic faith, and you did some programs that one at least that was telecast in the United States, and it had millions, some 28 or so million viewers, and of course your name really came up there. Tell us how you did that.
Yes, it was. It took me. There was 28 million people viewed that, which shocked everyone, including the Fox network, who commissioned me. I was very slow to convert, to come back to the faith of my childhood. I was very slow. I don't know why I was so slow, but after a couple of years I did come back, and that was a big part of it.
In 2013, you interviewed James Packer, the son of Kerry Packer, a ruthless businessman, if you will. How did you like him?
Well, he's making a lot of money. He doesn't have the hardness of his father. I actually got along well with Kerry Packer, but a lot of people didn't. If he got angry with them, he could be really tough.
Yes.
And reduce employees to tears and so on. Whereas James doesn't do that. And I think he's smart with the people he's got around him, and he's doing very well. He's a nice guy.
Journalism must be running in the family. You have your children and even a grandchild, a journalist. They're all doing the work you are doing.
Yeah, several of my children have gone into journalism, and one of them is now an author.
Who of the Australian Prime Ministers would you like to interview today?
I have to be Malcolm Turnbull. I've known him for a long time.
Okay. So he's the man of the moment.
We have a bit of a past together.
Okay.
Not always good.
You want to share that with us, with my viewers?
Well, he used to be Kerry Packer's internal lawyer.
Okay.
And so sometimes I would want to put things to air and he would say it was defamatory, so we would argue about it.
Right, what a story. Who of the Papua New Guinea politicians would you like to interview?
I always like to interview the Prime Minister.
Okay. In this case, it'd be Peter O'Neill.
Yeah. It's, you know, the Prime Minister is the most important. Sometimes people think he's not the best or there have been a lot better, but whoever is the Prime Minister at the moment, he's my first choice.
Well, he's got the whole country at his fingertips, hasn't he?
Yes.
He's the man that makes all the decisions.
That's right.
Things work or don't work.
Yeah.
By him, I suppose. Mike Willesee, thank you for making time available to us.
And good luck with the new program.
Yeah, thank you. Mike Willesee told a gathering in Mount Hagen that had he not taken up journalism, he would have been a Kiap somewhere in Papua New Guinea. 2 jobs he applied for in his early days and won both, but opted to be a reporter. This is PNG Tonight, a fresh start to the vanilla crop in the East Subic province coming up.